are doing good. So today we are gonna interpret Karl Marx. Uh, Karl Marx. Karl Marx time period is between 1818 to 1883, and he was one of the controversial philosopher, and he is still relevant, and his ideology is most popularly followed in the today's times. Marx called. So what are the background? Just look for his background. His background is that he belongs to Germany, and he was a Jew. Because of some controversy related to his ideas, he was moved to the Britain, where he closely, watched the Industrial Revolution, and by watching it, he got to know that how the exploitation of workers is happening because of the capitalism and the industries. So that's why he is much of the anti-capitalist. I think all the philosophers and all the believers or everything, they relate much to their time. All the controversies which they generate and their ideas which they come through that what is happening around the area. So now look into it much more. So he calls his theory as a praxis. What does it mean? Praxis means, he says that the praxis means that the theory leading to action, and actions lead to theory. That's how he's considered the praxis. Praxis is basically the theory or skills, and the scientific calls his theory as a scientific, other than the others one. The praxis is just the Marx was what was the main concern of the Marx? Marx was the main concern about the extreme exploitation of the poor by the capitalist class. Hence, he wanted to end their exploitation and to make their life of the dignity. So he is considered as a pro-proletariat class people, and the anti-proletariat people, or working class. So what does it mean, the proletariat class and the propertied class? Proletariats are those who is having the land, who has who is not having any property, and proletariats are those, and property are those who is having property. From here we also get to know that we call them the have-nots and haves. So that's how it is. So I think you know about what is the capitalism and what is the socialism. Let's go through much of the socialism. Socialism is a modern philosophy. It emerged as a reaction against the capitalism during that time. They wanted to make it industrialization as more humane, and wanted to make it the public resource. That's the socialist principles are the moral of the view. What are the basic difference between the capitalism and socialism? Capitalism is in the favor of private ownership, whereas socialists want to make it the public ownership. All the things will be owned by the public. Capitalism main aim was to generate the profit, whereas the socialist is for the betterment of lives, no exploitation. And the capitalist was centric on the individual, and the socialism was the collective. What are the Marx's views on his socialism? Marx calls his socialism as the scientific, and the socialistic theory before him, he calls them the utopian. Means they are the only imaginary Utopian theories means that the socialist principle before his theory are just the utopian. They are the imaginary thinking. The principles are not gonna attain anything for the socialistic principles. So what are the main origin of the socialism? Socialistic principles was the main origin was the French Revolution, from where we got to know the liberté, equality, and fraternity. Fraternity. These are the principles from which is the more bedrock or ideology of the French Revolution, from which there emerged the socialistic principles. Socialism, aim of Marxian socialism and communism. What are it is? What is the aim of Marxian socialism? Aim of Marxian socialism is to establish the communism. What does the communism means? Communism is basically the utopia of Marx. Basically, the communist countries which they call like the China and the Russia, they don't have the proper sort of communism. They don't have the proper set of communism. They are just the light version, or we can the superior version of the capitalism. They are just following the capitalism. So, by the way, leave it. The Marx ideal state, the Marx communism is the ideal state. It is the ideal state for him, where the state is the stateless, where there will be the sense of the anarchy. Gandhi was also the supporter of it. Gandhi also want the stateless society, where doesn't the state to govern. So basically, that the anarchy can be understood by the two ways, like in the Hobson's view are the anarchy is painful situation. It is painful, where there is the chaos all over the world. And the Marxians is that the anarchy is the beautiful thing. Anarchy is beautiful thing. This is beautiful thing, where there will be gonna be peace. There will be gonna be peace. Be peace because the men know how to live with the others. How to live with others. It is the state which divide them. The state which divide them. It is a state which divide them. Basically, the communism is the classless society, and which is the communism is classless society, and where there will be no class, and it is influences on Marx. Marx was influenced by the French Revolution, from where he generated the idea of socialism. He was very much inspired by the idea of liberty, equality, and fraternity, from where he generated the sense of the socialism and the British School of Economy. He used the writings of classical economics to understand the dynamics of the capitalism and industrial revolution. By the British School of Economics, he get to know the capitalism and the industrial revolution which was happening in the Britain, and the German philosophy. Marx borrowed of Hegelian method of dialectics and applied it to the material world. By the Hegelian method, he got to know about the material world. What are the Marx and Hegel view? He says Marx commentary on Hegel is like that Hegel is standing on his head. He has to stand on his feet. Stand on his feet to understand What is real? Hegel, as the Hegel was the official philosopher of Prussia. Prussia is another country. Don't make it with the Russia. It is another state. He has given very strong defense that Hegel compared the state with the God. Hegel compared the state with the God, and he says the state is the march. The state is march of God, God on earth. So state has the absolute. So state has absolute authority on their citizen. Basically, for Marx, that the whole idea it is the false consciousness. He doesn't relate to this idea of Hegel. In his view, that as he was saying that the God and the comparing the state with the God, so he gave that the religion is opium of masses. Religion is opium of masses. As you have seen in your personal life also, and in the today's politics in India, whenever the question of the religion comes, the whole mass got collectively integrate with that particular thing or particular ideology which promotes their religion, because it is easy to cater that whole thing according to the religion. As you have seen that the most of the politicians during the voting period time, they visit to the various religious temples or mosques or gurudwaras. Why do they only go when there is the elections all over the world? Why do they don't go to the other days? Because it is the election mood, and the whole of the mass can relate with them. That's how it is. Prominent statement of Hegel. What are the prominent statement? And one of these is the state is march of God on earth. State is march of God on earth. So we have seen it that he compared that the God with the state, and the state gives the authority. That's why he gives the authority. According to Hegel, that the all whatever in the earth it is just the reflection of the God that God has created for it. So, and the other statement of him is that real is rational, and rational is real. Rational is real. Real is rational. In this part, we understand the Hegel's concept of reality, where he relates to the Plato. Hegel believes that the idea is real, means that the idea comes first and the reason comes later. Because of it, that the idea generates the reason, and basically these things are interrelated with each other. That's whatever we can understood by the use of reason is real. Whenever we apply our reason, so this thing appears the real, and that's why if we apply the reason to understand the God's idea, and then we can make the good reality of God on earth. If we apply it to just understand the God's idea of reality. And what are the rational is real? Rational is real. Only idea is rational. Reality can be understood. Reality can be understood by application of reason. Understood by application of reason. Principles of Marxism. Marxism denotes the political doctrine of Marx, which aims to the violent overthrow of the capitalism. Marx described his principle as scientific, and Marx used to consider himself as scientist. However, Marx's followers projected him as God, and Marx is known as the God that has failed. That basically this is the meaning of the Marxism, which is the failed God. We can say him failed God because his ideology has not been properly implemented in any of the state. It has been just chopped off or somehow manipulated. Then it has been applied to the state. Marxism was to establish the stateless society with the violent overthrow, with the violence. That's it. What are the dialectic materialism? Concept of dialectics and dialectics are basically the debate where we have the thesis and antithesis from where we generate the synthesis. That's it. Historical materialism. Purpose of historical materialism is to consider the cause of the history. He considers that the history is one of the main fact while considering the theory, because from the history we got to know that what was happened in the past and what are the mistakes we don't have to repeat. If this certain thing is going to happen, then we can have some similar consequences which we have faced in the past. Marx wanted to end the capitalism and establish communism. Hence, he inquired about the factors that play the role in shaping the history. Marx analyzed the Hegel's philosophy, that how he is taking the authority from the God, inspiring it, and how he is justifying the state absolute authority. So from here he got to know how is the material is followed. In order to understand history, he used scientific methods and the other thing. He says, in order to make history, man has to live. In order to live, man has to eat. In order to eat, man has to work. So although all the history is related to the man, that whole this thing interpret that how history is leading to the man of the work and his eat and is to live. So that's all for today, and thank you.